Yeah, so we're going to have a look at doing some level design within Unreal Engine. Cool. So what we're going to be playing around with is a project called MechEd, which is what we call a framework at the university. Now, what we do as we're teaching Unreal Engine from the ground up is we like to use these things called frameworks, which are projects with some mechanics already built into them, which we let our students expand upon throughout the time on the modules or throughout the course. So we start off with some pretty hefty frameworks, and as we get throughout the year, over the years at the university, we kind of let students take the grade a little bit more throughout their career. So by the time we get to our final year of the university, we'll be touching frameworks, we'll be doing all projects from scratch. Right, so MechEd is built in an engine called Unreal Engine 5. Has anyone heard of Unreal Engine 5? Has anyone used Unreal Engine? Yeah, that's good. So Unreal Engine is a really powerful engine. It's probably one of the most powerful ones you can get out there. And you can see it's used in quite a variety of different games. It's also incredibly free, so if you haven't used it already, you can by all means go home today and use it, download it onto your PCs at home and start working in Unreal Engine as we speak. Question for you all. Do you know any games that are made in Unreal Engine? There's always one big one that everyone gets first time, but anyone know the games again? Not on the list, but yes. Yeah.
Batman Arkham City.
That is on the list later on, yes. Yes. Oh, Star Wars. Straight away. One of the big games that's made in Unreal Engine is Fortnite. So who's played Fortnite in here? Who doesn't want to admit that they play Fortnite? There you go, a few more. Yeah, so Fortnite is a really good example of Unreal Engine at its best. In fact, Epic Games use that as its testing ground for new features in Unreal Engine. So if you see something that looks a bit more shiny than you're used to in Fortnite, that's probably because they're testing out a new feature for Unreal Engine. In fact, things like the new animation systems were tested out in Fortnite before it went out into the main build of Unreal Engine. So if there's some point you're playing Fortnite and you're going, oh, these animations look extra nice today, it's probably because they're testing out their new systems there. Other games, so we have Gears of War. Who's played Gears of War? Anyone? So still a shooter like Fortnite, but with very much a different art style in there. We also have things like Solitaire, 2D game, completely different to Fortnite and Gears of War, but still made in Unreal Engine. So it really shows how powerful the engine is there. Dragon Quest 11, thank you, Alex. I'm really bad at Roman numerals. There we go, so not a shooter, not solitaire. Dragon Quest is again handles a lot of data, so again, powerful and in different means with the amount of data it can actually process. Plus many more, so someone mentioned Arkham City, great job. We have things like Sea of Thieves in there as well, Rocket League, Borderlands, Valorant, and also the most important Unreal Engine game is Cyrus.
Well, I want to make a guess. There's one game that's attention left at. It is the best game. Yeah, go on.
Unreal.
Unreal
Tournament, fair, throwback.
Yeah, any other guesses?
Are you going to see the Staff?
No, not Staff. That was made in the Unreal format editor. But come on, still get that, even if you're not sure about Unreal Engine. Yeah? FIFA? That's not Unreal Engine.
This is a magic one.
Oh, I thought you said this. Really? Oh, okay.
The most important game I've made is Star Wars Jedi. So, I've taught Alex for a few years now, and one thing you'll learn if you study my modules, I will talk nonsense about Star Wars. Because
Bloody love Star Wars.
but for good reason. It's a franchise that makes a lot of good use of Unreal Engine. So there are quite a few games out there that do use Unreal Engine for the project. So, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, the game we talk about a lot. We have things like Star Wars Hunters, which is a mobile game. It's essentially a hero shooter on mobile. We have Battle Pod, which is an arcade cabinet. We have Republic Commando, which used Unreal Engine 2. So, quite a versatile project, a really good one to see how good Unreal Engine is across the years, even if my students do get it.
Big smile on your face.
Yeah, there you go.
Usually that slide says Boss Simulator 18 on it.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Depends if you're Anyway, alright, so what you should all have open in front of you is what we call Mecca. So it should look something like this.
Anybody not?
I am not got that open. You might have an extra window on top of it, or you should see Mecca in front of you. Alright. So, in Mecca, we've got quite a few different elements to have a look at. First, before we get into that, let's just make sure we can all actually control in Unreal Engine. So, to move around, what you need to do is right-click in that viewport, which will allow you to move your viewport around. If, whilst you've got your that right-click pressed in, you use your WASD keys, you should be able to also move around in that viewport. Most basic controls, I would say. If you were to left-click on anything in the world, you should be able to select items, and what you'll see is a little, we call it a gizmo appears now, which is 3 arrows with each a different colour. If you use those arrows, so if you select one of those arrows, you should be able to move it around in the world like so. So red means the x-axis, you can move it left and right, or forward and back, whichever position you're looking at it from. If you use the squares in the middle of those arrows, it will allow you to move on multiple axes. If you were to press the space bar, you can switch the method in which you can move these objects around in the world. So if you press space bar once, you'll get rotation. So to build a level, what we need to do is have some assets to use. So when I say assets, I mean 3D models that we can put into a world. So to be able to find out, you need to click the button on the bottom left where it says Content Draw. Alternatively, you can press Control and Space. You can also then press the Docking Layout button, which will stick that drawer or that browser in place if you don't want it to keep disappearing. Hopping up and down, but
I'm still right with that you use space bar some because I'm not used to do that.
Alright, so with that content drawer open, you should see a nice blue folder. Hopefully it's blue on your screen. If not, it should be a folder called Meshes. Open that up and you should find that we have even more folders to have a look at. If you dive into one of those, so let's go for City, you should find we have a few things that can help you build out a city environment. So we have things like buildings, lampposts, traffic lights, walls, roads, all of which you can use to build out a nice environment, or start building out a nice environment. So to use those, what we need to do is click and hold on one of those objects and then just drag it into your viewport, into that level. Simple click and drag. And then using those controls we talked about earlier, you can start to move those around and start to build up a nice level for you to start playing around with. Right.
Now let's get rid of something. Click it and press delete.
There you go. If you so wish, if you'll notice, if you click on an object, you will see on the right hand side a list does get populated, where you can see things like static mesh. So you can, in there you can change out what model is in the world. So you could change that building and now to be building 2 instead, or building 3. So you can change it without having to keep going back and forth to that content drawer. A bit lower down, you've got a section called Materials. Now, materials are essentially our textures for these buildings, the actual colours that make up that building. So if we wanted to, we could change out the lighting on that building to be purple, for example. So have a nice pink glow or purple glow coming from our building. You could also change other colours, so we could change our blue out for yellow, orange. There we go, orange. And then maybe black for green, with the best colour scheme ever.
That is horrible.
That is the best building I've ever seen in the world. There we go. Righty. And what we can do then is start building these up. So we could place meshes on top of these meshes to add further detail. So what I want everyone to do for the next 5 minutes, before we actually start adding some gameplay elements to this, what I want is just have a taste of building up a level. So have an explore of those mesh folders and see what you can build out with the mesh you've got. So you can build up a little city or maybe a little forest area to play around with. And then we'll actually get stuck to adding some gameplay.
I used to copy and paste something. So press Control C, Control V to copy it. Cool, I've got another one. That's so many buttons though. So you can also just hold the Alt key whilst dragging. There's another one. Or you can press Control D to duplicate, and there's another one. So there's a lot of things you can copy and paste. There you go.